Welcome to The First Turn. I'm your host, Hyena, and today, Llama and I are talking about This Week in Warhammer. If you like what you hear, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or share, or let us know if there's something you'd like to hear us talk about. Alright, let's get to it.
Welcome to The First Turn. I'm Hyena.
I'm Llama.
Today we're talking about Warhammer stuff. We've been actually chatting here for a while before we're starting about some of the kind of the interesting things happening in the world of 40K.
Mm-hmm.
Some theories, some review kind of spoilery stuff for some of the stuff going on narratively, which, honestly, I mean, that's why we all kind of got into these games anyway, was the stories were interesting, the universe is interesting. And
models are cool.
But it's really the story. Like, you can have cool models anywhere.
Yeah.
Maybe there's plenty of games that are coming out with new models that you don't have that kind of
they don't have any
draw,
lore, really.
And kind of companies that just make models for the sake of models sometimes, Just kind of, StarCraft is making a model game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That seems like
They look
20 years
fine.
late a little bit, but
Halo, cool.
Yeah.
Looks just like the game. And people love Halo, but it's not 40K, sorry.
it isn't.
Yeah. That kind of thing. So,
well, and the thing is, even in that case, like the Halo story, which is good, you really can't convey in the game because the game is just like a handful of guys against a handful of guys on a 18-inch by 18-inch city. And
it's really just like a 5x5 grid.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even until they come out with a more robust version of the rules, it's mini chess.
Yep.
Kind of with dice. I don't know. It's weird. It is neat that they're going for it, and there's lots of new stuff coming out. I saw the the brutes and stuff are out. The what do you call them? The bigger guys.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called now. They come out with more stuff, but I am still waiting for them to come out with a full scale actual miniature game instead of like a board game type skirmish thing. We'll see if that happens.
We'll
I remember talking to them at Gen Con when they previewed it the first time, and they were talking about that was their kind of goal was to reach that point and have planes and vehicles and the big scorpion tanks and the ghosts and all that. That was kind of the plan, but as of yet, it's just a handful of soldiers.
Yeah, it sounds like they're going to have both this skirmish board game, and then their goal was to get to, like, if for anyone who played Halo Wars, which was the RTS version, so more like armies. The temptation's always got to be there, I think, to make cool models, make every model that people know, and then force them to buy a whole bunch to play your game.
Yeah, exactly.
So the temptation's always got to be there.
Yep. But we were talking about the Horus Heresy and the new book that's coming out about the Dropsite Massacre and how the reviews have been stellar,
glowing,
giving us a much more in-depth and characterful view of more of the decision making and the politicking behind the decisions to betray, as opposed to here are the events as they unfolded, as like a war correspondent on the ground,
Well, and for a long time, the Horus Heresy was always mentioned, like in the 40K rulebook. And now for the last 20 years or whatever, they've written the novels out. We have every detail down to the last crumb. I thought it was weird that they had completed the Siege of Terra. They did a compilation of short stories about the events after, and then they announced that they're going to start the Scouring Saga. And so it was like, okay, we're moving to this next era. And then they're like, by the way,
one more.
Yeah. Called the Dropsite Massacre, about an event everybody knows. You
had mentioned that you thought they were kind of bringing these details and these mentioning some of these things because you thought there was going to be a parallel happening within 40K, and they kind of want to remind us of like it's like not quite an episode recap before an episode of a show, but it's kind of where it's like, hey, remember when this happened previously on Warhammer 40K, and you see these few details that they want you to remember, and then you're like, why are they telling me this specifically? This doesn't seem relevant now. And then the episode plays out, and you're like, oh, that's why they reminded me of it, because it's happening again.
One of the things that reminds me of, because I'm a rare nerd who never watched Game of Thrones when it was out, but now I've gone through it. Well, through season 7. And
just stop there.
Yep, everyone always said that. Now,
even that's too far.
And I never read the book, so I guess I have that advantage of not being quite as disgusted by what's coming. But one thing they did do was they would do an episode recap before they start an episode, and sometimes they would pull back from 4 seasons ago, and you're like, why are they showing that little moment? And okay, something in this episode.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So I wonder what kind of things they got in the works here. If there's going to be a renaissance, kind of thing happening for 40K where they get back to similar things to the past. If they bring back people, they bring back characters, they bring back stuff. Lots of callbacks. They're big into nostalgia lately.
They are.
mean, the whole Chaos Dwarf army was a nostalgia hit.
Yeah.
Right. Why would they release Chaos Dwarfs? Because people used to love Chaos Dwarves and they never had a full army for it.
Yep. And now you can't get them.
Now all of a sudden it's like, bam, here you go. Little nostalgia hit.
And they did it in 2 places. They went ahead and did an updated Chaos Dwarf for Old World via Blood Bowl.
Yep.
And then they went and did, of course, the Hellsmiths of Hashut for Age of Sigmar. And I think it's a couple of things. Not only are they hitting nostalgia, but they're able to make things now model-wise that they just couldn't back then.
Sure.
Because they have almost no limits to what they can design now. And, they spend 20 years writing these Horus Heresy novels. What would the payoff be if they didn't do something relevant in the now? And so they've done a couple things, right? You get Legions Imperialis, which people are like, oh, it should have been Epic 40K. It's like, well, I don't know if I want... They would have to then make 24 different armies for that in tiny form.
Now it's not just Imperial and Chaos forces. Now you got to do Tau forces.
And Eldar and Tyranids and Necrons.
Exactly. Yeah. It's easier to do for Horus Heresy, honestly.
It is. It really is.
Because now you just have Marines versus Guard. I mean, that's the only 2 factions you really have. Yeah, that's really it.
And so they did that, and then, of course, they've now been plasticking and revamping everything from 30K era. And then all these books kept pointing to things that were current mysteries, or mysteries rather, in the current 40K setting, and now these old 30K novels are starting to explain some things in greater depth.
Yeah.
And I don't know it all, but everything from the Dark King to there being more than 4 Chaos deities to the King in Yellow to where did all the Primarchs go, and then things happening now in 40K where like Gilliman goes back into the throne room, and who the hell is Vashdor the Archifane, and like, and so I feel like they're trying to tie up some bows here, and waiting this long to release a book like the Dropsite Massacre, which is an event,
a very early event in the Horus Heresy.
Yeah, an event that we're now way past.
Right.
And it's like, but then they show these interactions between very important characters, namely Primarchs, that not only set up, I think, for the events of the Scouring, but stuff that's going to happen in 40K. Because what are the rumors we keep hearing from people, from relatively reliable sources, that something narratively big is coming to 40K, and it's going to usher in or be a part of 11th edition. Now, 40K is very different than 30K in that we don't just have Imperial versus, Loyalist versus Traitor. You now have Tau. You now have Necrons waking up in
orcs.
Systems. You have orcs everywhere. You've got Tyranids invading from outside the galaxy. You've got Drukhari involved in Leagues of Votann. Yeah, so now what do? You can't still just make it an Imperial versus Chaos thing. So I don't know if they're going to do what people are hoping and it ends up just a great big that, because we have that already in 30K. So, this edition, 10th edition, they kicked off with a big Tyranid thing. And the rumor has it that for 11th edition, they're going to do a big orc thing.
Yeah. One of Orc's biggest opponents, especially when you think of like the, what are the blue orcs, the Goths, is they try to emulate the Ultramarines. They try to become Space Marines themselves. They try to like equip power armor and become disciplined and things like that. I mean, that the orcs do have a big rivalry with Space Marines.
Yeah.
I think one of the rumors might have been leading towards that, right? Where it was orcs versus maybe Ultramarines and some kind of a starter.
It's two things from the sounds of it. They're going to do so the alleged starter box for 11th edition is going to be orcs versus, the models will be generic Space Marines.
Right.
But the cover art will actually feature Blood Angels.
Oh, that's interesting.
Even though the
Armageddon, is that the?
Yeah, even though the Marines themselves will be models that you can use for any chapter because they want to sell them,
Right.
But so Gaz is making a bigger play for Armageddon for some reason. They, alongside or following up on that, the rumors are that there will be a new plastic Commissar Yarick.
Okay, I thought he was dead.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then, but another storyline that's supposed to happen. So we were misled a little bit, not misled, but it was in the wrong setting when people were saying, "Oh, we're going to get another plastic Gilliman. He's going to be against Lorgar in a Cal thing." It's like the Ultramarines and Word Bearers aren't fighting right now. And it was like, so it's likely that was a 30K rumor.
Right.
The 40K one for the Ultramarines specifically, as we know, we just got a new Cato Sicarius, a new Marnius Calgar, a new Victrix Honor Guard. They say there's more Ultramarine stuff coming because there are Necron worlds within the Ultramar 500 worlds that are waking up.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a problem. This is a new enemy. It's not that Ultramarines never fought Necrons, but now in the Ultramar system, this is new. And we already know Necrons have a new Nightbringer coming.
Right.
They say there's more models for them, or more, or a new.
I would love to see an expansion to like the Destroyer cult.
Yeah.
And flesh that out a little bit
And
more.
who knows? And that could be what they do, because there's a Destroyer King. They know that. There's a Flayed One King out there somewhere in the story.
Bring that back.
So there could be some more new plastic Necrons, some new plastic Space Marines, and that'll be an Ultramar problem.
One of the units they had that was, initially I think it was a Ultramarine exclusive unit was the veterans of the
Tyrannic War veterans.
The Tyrannic War, yeah. So I wonder if something like that, but for Necron war of some kind.
So the Tyrannic War veterans, I guess if you think in canon, people forget that the current 40K setting is like 200 years after the current 40K setting.
Or maybe even more now.
Yeah. Because you had the Maledictum, you had the Indominus Crusade, and all that stuff's actually happened and gone.
Which is why I'm surprised they would do something like bring Yarick back. Because it's like, that's a human.
Yeah.
Humans don't live 300 years.
Right.
That's why they didn't bring back What's-His-Bucket. They brought back his old daughter as like...
Sucker Creed?
Yeah. They didn't bring back Creed. They brought back his daughter, who was an old, experienced, aged commander at this point.
And I think Creed is in What's-His-Name's vault now.
Yeah. Well, but he's removed from time, right? He's stasis outside of time itself. So
I think that's supposed to be one of the things with Yarick is he keeps dying and shows up later. And they even talk about, I remember there was a novel that even described he looked old and couldn't move, and then once he put on his power claw on his hat or whatever, he all of a sudden, like Yoda, just could fight.
Insane. That's so funny.
But
that's kind of silly, but
it is.
Okay.
And so allegedly a new plastic version of him. That's a very specific model. I don't think that one is being misled. I don't think that one's a 30K versus 40K versus Kill Team versus Necromunda.
Right. No.
I think that's got to be Yarick.
But I wonder if they're going to utilize Kill Team to bring back some of this stuff, kind of supplement.
They could.
Because, something like... I don't know, some kind of new guard veterans and, one call it Tyrannic War, but the Necrotic War veterans, whatever.
Right.
Could be a kill team versus a destroyer kill team.
Or a flayed one kill team. Right, yeah.
Whatever, that's absolutely a way they could drive that. Plus, here's supplemental stuff of other things. Here's a new, whatever.
Well, so... people were wondering, like, well, maybe they'll do new plastic Tyrannic War veterans. It's like, well, that's not even the Ultramarines' bag right now. So, like, Blood Angels have been stuck with Tyranids right now more than most. And, well, actually, everybody kind of is. But
until they got blamped out of existence and just teleported away.
Yep. Thanks, Commando.
Yeah.
So, because that's what it was. Wasn't it? He was what? I'm the only one who gets to eat Blood Angels.
Yeah.
Roar.
And he just, like, teleported the whole fleet.
Yeah. And,
but now the Necrons are coming from the southeast of the galaxy instead, which they'd never done before. Yeah. So I don't think it's going to be one main enemy like just Chaos, just Orcs, whatever in 11th. I think they're going to show the threat that is all of them. The desperation of the entire Imperium with all these different threats simultaneously.
Yeah, and story-wise, they're going to eventually have Guilliman and the Lion meet for the first time since both have come back. That has to happen. Because even though they historically didn't get along great, so much time has passed, and they realize they're in a different universe now, and they're going to need each other because we're screwed otherwise, right? And we talked about, you've got also two characters, the King in Yellow, who they are pretty sure is Constantine Valdor. You've got Lehman Russ, who they each have these meta science spears that are like connected.
Yeah. There's a weird like theory that they're like intertwined fate wise, and the one's actions reflect upon the other, and they are destined to kind of dual prong the same problem.
And
without knowing it.
Yeah, one reveals the truth to whoever it kills. The other one reveals the truth
about themselves
as it's yet to appear or something.
Yeah. It's weird.
And
it's so weird.
Well, in both of them, if you think about it, we're the Emperor's executioner at different times. Both those guys. Constantine, of course, was there during the Unification Wars on Terra and killed all the other warlords, and then
all the Thunder Warriors, I think.
Thunder Warriors, yeah. And then Lehman Russ, of course, they're pretty sure was used to
wipe out Legion.
And
he was going to wipe out the Thousand Sons,
and he was going to wipe out Horus.
Yeah.
So. And then he went into the warp while Constantine stayed here. And then this whole theory about the throne being an incubation chamber for one version of the Emperor and the other version of him is in the warp. And so there's this duality.
Well, we were talking about it. I don't know if we did this on mic, but we were talking about the idea that there's something hinky going on with the Primarchs, and they're not just a product of science and semen. There's also magic going on. There's magic going on there, and the idea that there were potentially more warp entities, powerful ones that were small g gods.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe the idea was that the Emperor was shackling primordial, undeveloped warp gods.
Well, and
turning them into his offspring and imprisoning them in these beings.
Yeah.
Because there's weird stuff that happens with the Primarchs when they get close to the warp. There's weird powers that they're able to manifest. They're able to know things and do things that just people shouldn't be able to do.
Well, and more than just, since the warp operates outside of time, they think whether they're undeveloped or he just found the version of them in idea form, because a lot of human ideas end up in the warp. And so it was even like someone was doing a really good, I can't remember his name, I'd point you to his channel, not a sponsor, just was doing this really deep work and showing which entities in human pantheons, like throughout our own history and mythologies, that these Primarchs represent. And so it's like those ideas manifested somewhere in the warp. The Emperor went and found them.
Right.
And
which again is very interesting when you think about.
And it's part of why Chaos hates him.
But it's also I don't want to derail it real quick, but Age of Sigmar had a very similar thing. Where especially in the realm of death, there are different afterlives. There are different, places your souls would go based on who believes what.
Yep.
That would kind of manifest and create itself within the realm of death based on how many people believed it. And it would create new, chaos, not chaos, sorry, gods of death that would reign over a certain ideology. It's very similar to that. It feels like as long as there's enough belief in a thing and there's enough emotion in a unified emotion amongst people, it manifests a being of that.
Yeah, and it's like, because they always refer to the Emperor as like this anathema and a thief, and it's like,
what do you mean thief? What does that mean?
Yeah, and
thief of what?
And it's like, so he made these super beings in his basement with science, but he knew he needed something more. He needed aspects of humanity. And so he went and stole, essentially, these human ideas made manifest that were sitting somewhere in the warp, just stole them. Chaos, of course, the 8 or the 4, whatever you want to say, they wanted these entities for themselves, I'm sure. And he goes in there without, I don't know if permission's the right word, but he just wanders into the warp, drinks from the power to fend off anything, and then steals these ideas and traps them in these bodies he made back home. And so they also think there were also moments, for those who read The Siege of Terra, spoilers, in those books, I think that tie themselves, again, to current things happening. And so this whole idea, this theory that his sons are these warp entities trapped in a super science body, there were these moments where he was in the warp, he being the Emperor, and he's just sitting there as like an old man with cracked dry lips and a stick to hold himself up, and then like Horus would visit him there, or Malkador would visit him there, or whatever, and the area that he would sit in was like shrinking and shrinking over time as Horus was getting closer to Terra. And it was like, why does the Emperor spend all this time in there? This place he told his brother or his sons to never go, right? But he's spending all this time in the warp for some reason. He's familiar with it.
Right.
And it's like, and so he went in there. The idea that he's a thief is he went in and stole power from this place, stole magic from this place, because that seems to be his ability. When he touches it, he drains from it. And so he took them and, housed them in his sons. They don't know that.
Right.
But Lehman Russ apparently does, because he stabbed himself with that spear that reveals truth. And he learned what he is.
Stabs himself, and he's like, ow, is this what I'm doing to people?
Yeah.
I deserve to be here.
That's the truth, is I'm hurting people. I'm going to go sit in the warp now and punish myself.
Well, is that a Family Guy thing? I think it might have been.
It might be.
It might have been. Is that what I'm doing to people?
Yeah.
I'm a monster. I deserve to be here. Anyway. No, it might have been Rick and Morty. I don't know.
And so all of this stuff, which some of it's fan theory, some of it's clear as day, some of it's mysterious and written, in their canon. And I know we won't get answers to all of it, and I hope we don't. But it's showing, I think, it's pointing towards some of these rumors about 11th being a big deal narratively.
Sure.
Now, every edition of their 2 main games is always big narratively. You have to. They used to just do a new edition for the sake of our rules suck after so long. Let's do new ones.
People are tired of this. Let's just make new rules.
Now they try to create an event alongside it.
Yeah.
That gets people excited. Another way back to your original point of you need a good story.
Yeah, you do. And I think the story actually kind of smooths things over, too. Because when you can justify something changing narratively, you can give people an emotional reason why it's psychology, right? You give people an emotional reason why the change is necessary and why it makes sense and why it's required. Cutting models and cutting armies and making changes for the sake of making changes doesn't feel good.
It doesn't.
Because it's a hobby. It's for fun. You tell people you can't play with their toys, then they get angry.
Yep.
But if you say, oh, well, these guys you've been building, well, they're going away because they have a new mission and they have to go do this thing and they're not the main story anymore, and so we're not including them in the rules for this new edition because the new edition focuses on something else.
Yeah.
You can distract people from the fact that, hey, your models, the things you paid money for and spent time on are not being included in this new version. So like the story can go a long way, and they like to do that a lot now. When a big change happens, when addition change happens, there's a big narrative event around it that everyone gets to participate in and help shape it, and whatever. So you're invested in it. I mean, I
agree.
Some of them are good, and they've got multiple outcomes that they don't care which way it goes. Sometimes they fudge the numbers. Looking at Storm of Chaos.
That one's so long ago, but
was a really, really bad one where no matter what the results indicated, the story was going one way, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so that felt a little bad, but if you don't know, Storm of Chaos was an event where
in the old world
where they wanted something to happen, and then the players reported that they wanted the opposite to happen, and they're like, no, it's happening anyway.
Yeah.
It was kind of a joke. Yeah, isn't that one where Grimgor gets to Archaon and headbutts him?
It says you is weak.
You is weak, headbutts him, fights his way across the entire world to Archaon, headbutts him, calls him weak, and then just goes home.
Yep.
Orcs who like to fight just decided, like, our fight's done. We're finished here. Let's head on home.
Let's go home. And every named character that they were trying to kind of get rid of, they would have 2 of them meet each other somewhere. They would duel for 7 days and 7 nights or whatever bullshit, and then they would both die or they'd both go home.
Yeah.
And
Storm of Chaos is not great.
So it was funny, is it had potential because they started with this online interactive map in the very early days of the internet, and so you could go on there and report your results and which area on the map it was taking place. And there were only so many areas at first in the outer rim of this battle and then as they progressed the story, we then moved closer to was it the capital was Altdorf or it was Middenheim, one of the two. But it was like, and you kept moving closer to the city. And it was funny is the Chaos side was winning so handily early that they had to change the percentages on the next wave to say, okay, well, the forces of order start with a 65% advantage to 35, and if the other side's going to win, they have to overcome that. And then it happened, and the Chaos side overcame it.
People wanted Chaos to win,
and then they did it again and again.
But what's funny is that when they did the end times and Chaos did win, people weren't happy about it.
Yeah, because it felt like they're making up for their and because the game was dead. But so some of the narrative ones are like that. A lot of the narrative ones are a lot of fun. They're short, and you're right. It's not really going to impact the world in a way that they care about, or GW can then just use to make new models later.
Yeah.
So those rumors surrounding 11th are pretty big. We're pretty confident that at summertime in 2026, the 11th edition will launch for Warhammer 40K. But I wonder if anything along those lines will be among the rumors that we have coming up.
Oh, for sure.
The preview event.
We've got a preview next Friday.
Yeah,
this Friday coming up, where we've got kind of an idea of which game systems are getting previewed. We've got some ideas based on rumors of what we think might be coming. I think tonight might be the right time to actually give our predictions.
Our predictions.
Just to throw something on the record and get them out there and see what.
So we haven't been leaked any of the silhouettes yet. For those of you wondering, this is Sunday when we're recording. There's rumors that some of the silhouettes will start appearing this week, which makes sense. Now, on the banner they gave us, they put Warhammer Quest Darkwater at the
which
top.
I think is so good. I think the fact that Warhammer Quest is separated out as its
I
own
agree.
thing, and it's
It gives
not
me a
just
little
like,
hope.
hey, Age of Sigmar is getting an update, and it's just Darkwater.
Yeah.
Because I think the one time they did that, Warhammer Quest was the preview. When they're like, hey, Age of Sigmar stuff, Warhammer Quest,
Right, and
Curse City, or whatever it was.
And even at that
you know?
part of the preview event, it showed the Warhammer Age of Sigmar logo and music, and then it was like, oh, this is a board game.
Yeah.
No, that's not Warhammer Age of
It's not
Sigmar.
what we're looking
So
for.
here they put it separate. It says Warhammer Quest Darkwater, and then it says plus Warhammer 40K, plus Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Warhammer the Horus Heresy, Legions Imperialis, the Old World, and Necromunda. So we specifically don't have Kill Team listed here.
Yep.
We specifically don't have Blood Bowl listed here, but it is 40K, Age of Sigmar, Horus Heresy, Imperialis, Old World, Necromunda. Now, predicting what's coming, we're going to get this out of the way. Predicting what's coming for Necromunda, no
idea.
no clue.
No clue.
I can never tell.
Nope.
The Old World,
I mean,
we'll go.
I will say the last time they did Necromunda, it was gene stealer cults.
Oh, those
Remember those
weird,
weird experimental gene
sick
stealers?
gene stealers. Yeah,
It was like I never in a million years would I have guessed that. That was so wild.
and so it also makes, by the way, their rumor engine harder to decipher.
Yes, it does.
So Warhammer: The Old World. We'll go from least important to
Sure.
most. The Old World. That one's tricky now to guess. Because, and the reason I say this is because they went from like, here's an arcane journal and a character,
Yeah.
to unannounced, by the way, here's a massive Norscan update.
Yeah.
We have rumors of more things coming for Norsca.
I've heard rumors of two big things coming down at some point. One of them is a bigger expansion to the Warriors of Chaos.
Yeah.
We have our Marauders already. I wouldn't be surprised if there's Marauder leadership that comes along with that. I wouldn't be surprised if they went leading into Beast, like heavy cavalry or monsters for Marauders in terms of Morskins. I mean, look at Norsca's roster from
Total War.
They've got mammoths. They've got frost drakes, frost dragons. They've got. I don't think we're going to see.
They've got ice trolls and stuff like that
I don't think we're going to see trolls.
I don't think
we're going to see Famir.
No.
But I could see skin wolves potentially.
Right.
Something like that. So I think we might get like monster side of them. I mean, maybe a dragon, maybe a mammoth, because we heard some rumors of that.
Did, yeah.
Maybe some werewolves, basically.
Yeah.
Now, I could see that. Or the other side of things is the Cathay is a big hit. And there are rumors that Cathay is going to get more
Expanded.
There is a handful of other characters for the Cathay that could receive an Arcane Journal and an update, that kind of thing. There's another dragon character, the brother to Yao Ming. There's the Monkey King. I mean, and then soldiers and whatever associated with them.
Yep.
So I mean, there's rockets and crossbows and more infantry.
You know what's interesting
whatever.
about that is when Cathay got their release in Total War, there was a rumor thread for Total War where people were speculating what's coming next, and someone claimed, oh no, the last 3 DLCs they're going to do for Total War Warhammer before they retire it are going to be all Cathay. And they talked about that. They talked about the Jade Dragon, which ended up a thing, but that was just a part of one DLC.
Right.
And then they were like, and then they're going to do the Monkey King, the Tiger King, and all the people, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, or since those studios were working hand in hand and the model release came out not that long, it could be that they were seeing an expansion coming to the army for the old world.
Well, because you look at the concept for both Total War and Cathay in the model form, they both look very, very similar.
Very similar.
So you see a scroll type thing of concept art for the expansion. You think, oh, this is Total War. The way they've got them like T-posing and everything. Like, nope, it's got to be for Total War, but maybe it's models. Maybe it's for the tabletop. So I think it's one of those two things we're going to see. Either Norskin sort of Marauder side, or we're going to see something for Cathay.
And I've heard rumors down the road that they also have Kislev in production.
Sure. I heard rumors that they were going to do like Border Princes, that type of thing with like the regiments of renown and that kind of army, the Talea kind of area of kind of like the Badlands. There was rumors of that too. Like,
it's Estalia, Talea.
That'd be super cool.
Which are basically Spain and Italy. Yeah. And they could do that because this isn't Karl Franz's era, so I don't think they're going to do the Empire that way.
Right.
So they could just have these other like Dogs of War type.
There's also in the mix Ind.
Yep.
and Nippon.
Nippon. Yep.
I mean, those are somewhere,
So the next two are hand in hand here: Legions Imperialis and then Warhammer: The Horus Heresy. So all I'm going to say about those is, guess what? More old
Marines.
and Forge World things will be plasticed.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see like more vehicles get turned into plastic.
It's hard to even know which ones.
Breachers. I mean, there are.
I don't think people realize quite.
There's like 10 units of infantry for Horus Heresy that haven't been turned to plastic yet.
Yeah.
It was like Eliminators, which were like, or now the whatever the sniper unit were called, the Breachers. There's like a Flamer unit. There
were Destroyers,
Fire
and whatever
Drakes,
they
the
called
Destroyers.
it. Yeah.
There's so many things. There's so many.
I don't think people realize quite how expansive Forge World was when it comes to making Marine stuff. But for both 30K and 40K, that's all they did.
Yeah.
I think that's why they existed, where they were just fanboys of Marines. But now a lot of that's getting ported to plastic. All the people who were worried that they lost everything in the new edition of Horus Heresy
just need to wait.
There were rumors that were like, no, all this is coming back. They're just making new models and new rules. So I think that's all it'll be. More stuff ported to plastic that used to be old. There's a chance that we're supposed to see a plastic Primarch for the first time.
I think it'd be funny if the plastic Primarch we see is actually 4 Imperialis.
Just a tiny little
Gilliman.
Yeah.
But they zoomed on him so far that they thought he was plastic for 40K or whatever. No, I wouldn't be surprised if we got like Baneblade Legions and the super heavy tanks for Marines and that kind of stuff.
Well,
now we had Mastodons.
Well,
already,
now they've made the plastic Fellblade.
Yeah, the Fellblade. Yeah.
And side note, they think that with we'll get to that in a sec, but another big plastic thing that they're working on. Well, first we'll talk about this Warhammer Quest thing, and then we'll get to the big 2 games. So Warhammer Quest has kind of been leaked.
Yep. We saw a big fuzzy photo of it.
Yeah, and then the contents have been described. And then now Games Workshop has been on the community page showing each of the heroes. I think they're all cool. They're unique. They're classic fantasy. Just
love it or hate it. The paint jobs doesn't.
It never does.
It doesn't give you a perfect idea of what the models will actually look like. You can paint them however you want. Sometimes the paint jobs, which I've noticed the community has kind of lashed out about, is specifically how it's painted. And they say, this model is bad. This model is good. This model is bad. But it's really just like, you don't care for how it's painted. Right? There are very specific things they try to do with paint jobs to make them striking and whatever and stand out. But I think there are some drawbacks to how they do handle some models, especially when they're not Marines and stuff like that. Like they over-exaggerate expressions, they over-exaggerate eyes and eyebrows and things like, without actually giving the detail of like an eyebrow, right?
Yeah. So the area of the brow itself is always very prominent on a humanoid face, and then they highlight it in a way that draws it out, but then they don't put the actual hair of an eyebrow
and guess
on there.
What? Humans look really weird
with no eyebrows.
Yeah. Every single human looks weird without eyebrows. And so when you paint a model and the face looks very realistic, it's very, very detailed, and you don't include eyebrows, that human is going to look very weird. Because it gets in that uncanny valley where it's like, this isn't a fake thing anymore.
Yeah.
This is a real person. Where are their eyebrows? That's the first thing you notice, because so much of our communication, I feel like, especially when in the English language, for sure, when you're speaking English, you accentuate your words with facial expressions, and the eyebrows go a long way.
Yeah.
So when those are missing, you look at that model and you're like, oh, this model sucks. It's like, well, and you don't like the paint job. Let's land there.
That's a big thing, because what happens is when like you said, when a new Space Marine model comes out, it's rare that it's a miss, because the way the heavy metal team does their paint job, which is very focused on
angular
outlining every individual piece, and then using these laser accurate and thin highlight lines and specular highlights, and then they're angular, and Marines are made up of these like spheres and cylinders, and so it works on them. And then Marines, of course, all have acromegaly in their face because they're all on growth hormones, and so the angular paint style works. Well, then when they do something like, here's a damsel in a gown, then they do the same paint style on her face, and then don't give her eyebrows, and it's all of a sudden like, that looks really weird. Or I remember when the Iron Jaws first came out, and people saw this bright yellow with no chips in it armor, and they were like, oh, I don't like factory fresh orcs. And it was like, well, when you looked at the bare plastic, the metal itself was like legit modeled into the plastic. It was chipped and hand beaten and like everything, way more weathered and worn than like, say, the fantasy orcs. but people focused on the paint job and said, I don't like the model.
Right.
And it's like, well, you got to see him in the bare plastic. Because
Yeah.
even when their criticisms are just about when they make a meme out of it and it's based on the paint job, it's like...
Fulgrim, right?
Yes.
Fulgrim and his 4 faces. People are like, oh, what a terrible model. It's like, paint job. Like, relax.
And speaking of, we had at least 2 entries at Golden Demon Spiel, Essen, that I know about that were the new plastic Fulgrim.
Yeah.
Those paint jobs made him look incredible.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, he's way less big than I thought. I saw him in person for the first time, I don't know, like a week ago, and he is not as big as I thought he was. He's little.
I don't know if little's
I mean,
accurate,
not
but
little, but like, I thought he was a huge, like, I don't know, like Magnus-sized model, and he's really not.
No. Fulgrim never was, though.
Yeah.
He was never that big. I mean, Primarchs are big, but he was never big amongst his brothers.
But he feels very much like the size of him, torso to whatever proportion. He feels very much like a Mortarion.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was deceiving to me. When you look at the photos, you're like, whoa, he's huge. And it's like, yeah, he's big, but like he's not disproportionately large.
I think they've kept them. They've kept them for the most part all in a
Pretty similar
reasonable scale,
except for Magnus,
which
which could have been 50% smaller, and it would have been fine.
I think he needed to be.
He needed to be like, he's what, 7 inches tall.
He's huge.
If he were 4 inches tall, he'd still be enormous compared to his brothers.
Yep.
He'd still be huge, but he wouldn't be so ridiculous looking on the tabletop.
Yep. Yep.
So just throw it out there. And again, they had mocked up 3D printed versions of Magnus in 4 different scales.
They did.
At a Warhammer World one time, and it's like, and you chose the biggest one. That's
Yeah.
what I'm learning. Weird. Yeah.
They did.
Anyway.
Yeah. So his whole footprint, his whole silhouette is similar to the other two of the other 3.
Yeah, but a lot of it's wing.
Yeah, but
You know.
but his actual torso, arms, and legs are massive compared to his brothers, which is weird.
Mhm.
But okay, so maybe we'll see a plastic Primarch in Horus Heresy, which is weird because I feel like
kinda
it's
doubt
competing
it. I
with
really
40K.
doubt it. I mean, that would be that's optimistic. I don't know if we're gonna see a Primarch for this. That's gonna be its own event. I think we're gonna see some kind of new.
They still have to do Mortarion Ascended, by the way, because they did
Yeah.
Angron, they did Fulgrim.
Shit.
I'm
But
sorry,
they-
but I think both of them don't look as good as the 40K versions. But
I mean, I think they're very statuesque,
they are.
right? They're very look like they're from a painting. They don't look like they're supposed to be a representation of the actual thing. If that makes sense,
Sure.
right? Like this is the idealized version of them that you would see in a painting. But then, like, you look at the painting of George Washington, you're like, oh, there's George Washington. But then you look at the real dude, and he's like, whoa, that dude's fucking ugly. Like the painting paints it's a very different picture of the guy. Like the person didn't actually look like this. This is a painter's representation of the person. I think that's what the 40K ones feel like for
The 40K ones?
I'm sorry, the 30K ones feel like
Oh.
for every single Primarch.
Yeah.
They feel like, oh, this is the conceptual idea of what the Primarchs look like, not what they actually look like.
Yeah, it looks like a statue that would be memorial to them.
Right. Exactly. If you painted them in metal, in bronze or marble,
Yeah.
you could paint that and be like, oh, it's a memorial to them.
And as far as the demon Primarchs go in Horus Heresy, it's supposed to be like right when they fell, which is very different than when 10,000 years have gone by.
Right.
So anyway, moving along. So Warhammer 40K.
Mm-hmm.
So this is interesting since it's been all but confirmed by the company itself
Sorry.
that yeah, 11th edition.
Yeah.
11th edition launches next summer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're going to see anything for that yet. I think they've still got a lot to do now. So there have been all kinds of rumors. I don't know if we'll see it at this. One of them has been that there's like some new plastic Prince Uriel coming.
Sure.
And whatever he leads, which might be some Corsair thing.
He's the sniper
Yeah.
Eldar character.
Right.
Okay.
Who was one of the first to stand on a tactical
Allended,
rock.
he was yellow and green, or
Mhm.
yellow and blue. Allended
Yep.
colors. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And one of the paints is named after him.
Yep.
And then, so there was that and some expansion of the Eldar side.
Well,
that
they've
route.
already given us scouts. They've given us the scout double bikes. They've given us.
Yep. They gave us
some of
Rangers.
That's what I mean. Yeah, the Rangers. They've given some of that stuff already. I wonder where else they would go with Uriel.
Corsairs?
The Corsairs, make them more piratey. I mean, they had those like.
Or, I'm sorry, Exodites? Or wait, what?
No,
what
not Exodites.
Not Exodites. Corsairs.
Corsairs, I think what you're looking at. But they had those like. They already had the kill team for like the pirate group.
Yeah, they
you
did.
know.
Yeah, they did.
I don't think they were called Corsairs. I can't forget what they were. Voidfarers or
Well,
something.
maybe it'll just be him on his own, new plastic model, some narrative reason to bring him.
Yep.
The other rumor is that for Chaos Space Marines, we're supposed to get a plastic Huron Blackheart. So for people who don't know who that is, they had rules for him way back in 2nd edition, and a model for him came out sometime in 3rd, a metal one.
Yeah, where he's like, "Meh." he's got his hands to his side, and he's like shrugging. He's like doing a low shrug, and he's got like an eyeball in his hand, his palm.
It's that, or it's a gun barrel. I don't remember, but
remember.
it's this weird power fist with just a hand.
He's got chains up on this like trophy rack.
And so back then, when they used to write about chaos, very different than how they do it now. And you had 2 warp storms in the entire galaxy. You had the Eye of Terror, and you had the Maelstrom. The Maelstrom was where Huron Blackheart was the lord of, with his red Corsairs. Speaking of the word Corsairs, and I don't think he is like friends with Abaddon or anything like that, but he's a chaos lord of his own legion. And the red Corsairs were largely made up of people who, in the post-heresy era, fell traitor to chaos. Right? Like these aren't.
I feel like these are what you
these aren't
normally.
OG.
These are normally what you'd think of when you look at Chaos Marines.
Yeah.
Is what you're
Renegades.
Really, what you're really thinking about is the Renegades, which is the Red Corsairs.
Yeah.
A lot of them were painted black for the Black Legion, but they were really conceptually they were the Red Corsairs.
Yeah, these aren't OG legionnaires that have been around for the Long War. These are like recent defects, recent quote unquote. And so rumor has it he's getting a plastic model and he's going to get brought back into the narrative.
Okay.
Which he was a fan favorite who disappeared for a long time. I guess he's been active. And then the rumor also has it that his Red Corsairs, much like we saw the
Legionnaires?
No, what were the other ones? The Night Haunt ones. The
Night Haunt. Yeah, the Night Lords unit.
The Night Lords.
I forget what they're called. Yes.
But they got a unit.
With an
kill
upgrade
team
sprue.
but like,
yeah.
So something was rumored that that's like what's going to happen for Red Corsairs. Some were thinking it's going to be in 40K proper. My suspicion is it'll be a unit that's in kill team. Probably.
Oh, sure. I mean, they've been doing that for a lot of things.
Yeah. Now he himself will probably just come on his own, but and then like we kicked around last week, where everybody immediately assumes anything for chaos means we're going to get a quote year of chaos, which is absurd. So we don't know if this is coming soon or if this is more 11th edition stuff. Another thing that was talked about was there is apparently in production, going into boxes now on sprues, a plastic Warhound Titan.
What?
And it's not going to be for 40K proper, because by points it just won't fit, but it's supposed to be a flagship alongside a revamped version of Apocalypse.
Oh, my God.
So
I hadn't heard of that. That's wild.
So Apocalypse kind of fails every time. I say fails because they always launch a separate rule set for it.
It costs $10,000 to play it.
Yeah, that's the first problem.
You know,
because your games start at 3,000 points.
Right.
If they even do point systems anymore. They started to do these like pseudo detachment things where it was like, now one thing I liked about the previous system they did, I think it was in 9th, is it was like instead of removing one model at a time when you suffer a certain amount of wounds, it was like the unit represents this wound count. And so you get all of your attacks before you remove models.
Well, they also did all the fighting and shooting simultaneous. So it wasn't like, my side of the board shoots and wipes out half your army. Now it's your turn. You reinforce half of your losses that come back, and then you get to shoot your entire army. Like it was always like, all right, you shoot and resolve, I'll shoot and resolve, and then we'll resolve all the casualties at the end simultaneously. Which was a much better system, I think. It was much more fair.
I think it is because it lets. So imagine if they did that in the Warhammer 40K proper. That means that if you start a game with 2,000 points, but you get the first turn in the first shooting phase, you don't get to knock me down to 1,200 points before I get to fight back. It's like, okay, you did kill that much, but now I get to fire back with my 2,000 points also.
Yeah, and then we'll resolve
the casualties.
Yeah,
that I think could work, and I would love to see that in the 11th edition of the game. I think 40K, because it's so range heavy, needs something like that. Like Age of Sigmar, it's not really a problem to go you go I go because there's a lot less shooting, and there is interaction within the opponent's turn.
There's reactions. There's out of phase shooting. There's out of phase charging and fighting and all that kind of stuff.
And combat's true alternating. So like I don't think it's as needed in Age of Sigmar, but in 40K they need something because it's still a game of like if you get that alpha shooting phase, you kind of win.
Yeah.
So, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn saying that, but well, anyway. rumor has it there's going to be a new version of Apocalypse, and this plastic Warhound is going to be a flagship release for it. I wouldn't be surprised when we see what they can do with plastic now, and now they've done that new plastic. What's the big knight from Horus Heresy they brought forward?
Porphyron? No,
they haven't made that one plastic. Yeah.
Whatever that one is, the Lancer and the whatever. There's a chassis.
Yeah, that tall, lanky one used to be Forge World. Cerastus, I think.
Cerastus, yeah.
Well, now they've made it in plastic, and everybody kind of forgot that. And it's like, well, they can make anything now in this. It's a matter of if it'll sell. Well, a Warhound Titan will probably... People will put it on their display boards, for crying out loud. And the Forge...
Buy one, chop it up, put it on my bases.
Yep. The Forge World resin is so expensive to buy something like that, and then those kits were a nightmare to assemble.
Everything was warped, and there was lots of like flashing and like just mismatches of the molds. There was these giant like centimeter thick like
feeds that you had to cut with a saw.
It's just ridiculous. Yeah.
And so it's like, well, if this comes on a sprue, that's much easier. Yeah. Massive assembly project.
It'll probably be hollow.
Yeah.
There'll be shells of body parts and stuff like that. So it'll be
and look at this.
A third the weight.
We know they can because go look at Legions Imperialis. Look at the Titans there. If you've ever opened one of those kits, they have 180 parts in them that are tiny. It's like all they have to do, like with the Magnus, they just have to scale it up and then print a bigger one. So that wouldn't surprise me. Now, that said, I don't think any of that 11th edition stuff is what we're going to see at this preview event for 40K. So
now that we got out of the way what we're not going to see.
Now that we wasted all of your time, what are we going to see in 40K?
Yeah, what are we going to see?
It's tough because they specifically didn't call out Kill Team here. So I don't think that's what we're seeing.
Okay.
We just got the pre-order.
Tau update.
Tau update.
Yeah, there are lots of like rumor engines.
Well, does every army right now have their codex in 40K in 10th? I think they do.
Maybe.
I don't think we have any.
We might
left.
be done.
They might, like all the armies might have them now. And if that's the case,
there might be a chaos one that's missing. What about like Death Guard? Do they have their book?
I think everybody does.
Okay. Yeah, I think maybe all the books are out.
So, if that's true, if I'm not missing something, that's early.
Yeah.
And they're
going to... It gives us 6 to 8 months of play.
Of play.
Before.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Now, what I think, it might be boring. The 40K reveal might actually be more Ultramarine stuff.
I mean, there are a lot of rumor engines that point to Tau stuff.
Yes,
there's some Kroot.
People were trying to guess all these weird alien species. Right. You're like, no, guys, this is a Kroot thing.
It's either Kroot. It looks like a Kroot hand to me, honestly. Yeah. It's just four fingers with 2 thumbs. Like it's 4 total fingers. 2 of them are thumbs. That's a Kroot hand. It's a Kroot fist. It's a power fist. That'll Kroot. Whatever. It'd be a Kroot character riding a Krootox. Whatever. Potentially. There were also the dog warriors that people were talking about. Yeah. Potentially, which is another Kroot ally, a Tau auxiliary ally. I think maybe it might be time to see another little update to Tau. I think we could see that. I think it would come out of left field, but I think we could see it.
Well, Space Wolves got a massive release, and then they just got a brand new kill team. Tau just got a new kill team.
Yep, the stealth suits.
And some of those, and you're
pre-release, pre-order next weekend, by the way.
Right, they just announced that today, and
it looks so good.
I think both sides are great.
The updated aesthetic for those stealth suits, so good.
So good. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they expanded the auxiliary and or the Kroot side, because, I mean, I don't know how many more Gundam suits they can do short of one time goes
just
by.
A new Riptide.
And they need to update them.
Give me a new Riptide. Give me a Riptide with swords.
Oh, a variant? Sure. And
But
some of these rumor engines point a lot to that. And so if it's not Kill Team, because we don't see it here on the list, then it could be a 40K proper. It could be a character and a unit, something that we haven't even thought of yet, because they do that. Maybe with everything going on in the galaxy, that's where Tau is opportunistic, and they take more systems and they expand their little, empire. So maybe that's what we'll see. I also think that would surprise me, because I didn't even think of that. But we have seen a lot of rumor engines, and they don't seem to wait as long to fulfill them now. I could see also more Ultramarine stuff. But I think it might be whatever that unique unit is they're rumoring at. Some alien hunter, almost Death Watch, but for Ultramarines. I think this might even push us towards what we've speculated, that Ultramarines will
be a separate chapter.
Their own codex eventually. I don't know. Maybe they'll still call it Codex Space Marines or whatever, but with releasing characters for Imperial Fist, Iron Hand, Salamanders, Raven Guard, and of course Crimson Fist are ones people are talking about. Allegedly, a plastic Pedro Cantor is coming.
It's got to be. Yeah.
And so, because their chapter's been refilled by the Primaris, we know that they're not dead anymore. Because they were down to like the last 50 guys or whatever. And now they've got Gilliman showed up and was like, here's 1,000 new homies. So that group of chapters might still be Codex Space Marines going forward, but it's possible that
Ultramarines as a supplement
just becomes its own
separates them.
unique rules that really separates them. Gilliman kind of define his own original reason, realizing with the danger in the galaxy that we have to go back to Legion format and not just be chapters anymore. Who knows?
Yeah.
That could be a thing. So maybe that is what we'll see. I hope I'm surprised. Like, I don't keep track of 40K as much anymore. The lore's more of what I'm into than the models now.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So now to our favorite, Age of Sigmar. So the fact that they called out Warhammer Quest Darkwater separately from Age of Sigmar, hopefully that means Age of Sigmar gets a totally different reveal.
Yeah.
So what do we think?
I mean, there are 3 big things that are happening, apparently, plus a couple small things that are happening. We could see any of it.
Okay.
I mean, we've got the three big things are ogres.
Yep.
We've got Nurgle.
Maggotkin. Yep.
And then we've got, in a way, we've got Cities of Sigmar.
Yes.
The smaller things we've got going are both, what is it? Was it Skaven potentially getting an update? And then another small but large kind of whatever is the whatever the Dwarven holds are.
Yeah.
The Khazalid Dwarven faction.
Which that was a name we saw dropped.
Yeah. So there's 5 things going on there. 3 of them are major army updates. I think we can see anything in there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if with the Darkwater update or Darkwater release, we see an update to the armies that are included in Darkwater. I could see us getting a reveal for what Nurgle, the Maggotkin of Nurgle, will look like.
Okay.
That goes kind of alongside the Darkwater. I think that's the most logical one. Second one,
they might announce the book even, Maggotkin
right.
Nurgle.
The second one would probably be the Cities of Sigmar, where they're getting sort of a the nightly houses of Cities of Sigmar getting an update.
That'd be cool.
Beyond that, we could get again the Clanzashen update could be revealed.
So there's a couple of rumor mongers for Age of Sigmar, and we've talked about this for a couple of weeks now, who are online, and they've proven to be pretty reliable. It sounds like they might not all be super interested in what happens in Age of Sigmar. They just happen to know what's coming.
Right.
But
which is insane to me. That's insane.
Yeah. You know, but it, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but that goes back to like the days of like Portent.net and Warseer, when there were, Harry and Hastings were the 2 guys who did all these 40K rumors. They would do the same thing. They'd be like, and they were always very reliable. But when they would drop rumors, it's funny, they would lead off with like, well, I don't play these games anymore. I don't collect the miniatures anymore. I don't keep up with it anymore. But here's what's coming. And then they would drop very accurate stuff.
Accurate but vague like descriptions, and you have to like interpret it.
So it's funny.
It was right.
Yeah, and so it's funny is they, although there were times when other people had rumors, and if it didn't come from those 2, everyone would like, moderators would shut them down, and it was like this silence, like, oh no, if it doesn't come from Harry and Hastings, you can't trust it.
So weird, yeah.
But they would drop something, you're right, it'd be vague, cryptic, but it would end up kind of accurate, and sometimes they would drop something by name. Like I remember it was like a year before the End Times came, and they dropped the Glotkin by name. So that said, they sort of disappeared. We hadn't had someone like that in a while. And Games Workshop was kind of doing their own rumor mongering by having controlled leaks, their rumor engine, as we just talked about, and then preview events. And so you didn't really need this. Although some people have emerged now, and they talk a lot about Age of Sigmar, but we've seen, as we've discussed, while Horus Heresy and 40K can get crossed over, the Old World and Age of Sigmar can get crossed over, and they can mix up where they're going.
There's also mixing with the Necromunda now. You've got
and Kill Team and
prospecting dwarves in there. They've got gene stealers now in Necromunda. Like there's weird stuff that show up in Necromunda. It's like, well, crap, I didn't expect that.
Yeah,
And
and one of those, I guess, misses were when, like we talked about, there was they're going to be this Gilliman versus Lorgar thing. It's like, well, turns out that's 30K, and then it was they talked about stuff they thought were coming for Dark Oath, but it ended up for the Warriors of Chaos Norska stuff,
right,
in Old World instead,
which is so sad.
And so now this throws off any predictions.
Right.
Some of them, however,
I see a barbarian. It's like, well, that could be anything then.
Yeah, and that said, there are some things that they can't really mistake. And I think the Nurgle specific stuff is really hard to mistake. That said,
they called out the a large centerpiece version of Epidemius, was it? No, Festus.
Yeah.
And it's like they call it out by name, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you can't mistake that.
Now, that said, I could see him in either game.
Sure.
But the other stuff they called out, well, we've seen a handful of those show up in this Warhammer Quest thing, but I have to assume some of it is going to be Age of Sigmar proper, right?
Right.
It has to be. So we might see that. It almost sounds like a horror movie. So some of it, I think, has to be accurate. But it was weird reading some updates from these same rumor mongers, because one of them is a lot quieter than the other. One of them talks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The one who talks a lot, it turns out, sounds like doesn't even like Age of Sigmar.
Pretty pessimistic, yeah.
So that's always hard to take there. Let me go back to when 10th edition 40K started. There was someone who spilled the beans about they had seen every rule for all the armies, and here's what's happening. And some of it ended up accurate. Some of it ended up their little personal bias or hatred for something leaked through. And it was like, it sounded like when you got down to it, they played games against like their friends' Tyranids, and they lost all the time. So they hated Tyranids and always thought everything Tyranids got was overpowered. They themselves, I think, played Eldar. And so they were like, I got to see the rules for Eldar. They're losing everything. They talked about they're losing these psychic powers. They're losing these rules. All their stats are nerfed.
They suck.
They're now worse than everybody and cost more points than everybody.
Well, when 10th edition eventually came out, Eldar were at a 72% win
Yeah,
rate.
they ended up by far and away the most powerful army. So it's always hard to gauge when they let their opinions seep in. And so some of the, while I thought they might be trustworthy just a few weeks ago, it's like now we're seeing their opinions come in, or at least one of them. Now I don't know. So what do you predict?
I think some of the
do you think we'll see all of that? We know Age of Sigmar has big stuff coming.
No, I don't think it's all of that. I mean, one of the other rumors in addition to that was like, well, here comes Age of Sigmar. It's getting all this time dedicated to it in the production realm. They're making so much stuff for Age of Sigmar that it makes my game, Old World, feel pretty insignificant because Age of Sigmar is getting so much attention. It's like, well, we haven't seen that yet.
No, in the entirety of 4th edition, we haven't seen it.
I'm looking around being like, what attention? What are you talking about? All I've seen is like 40K stuff and Old World army refreshes.
Oh, by the way,
like
Old World got the entire army of Cathay.
Yeah.
And now a massive update to Warriors of Chaos out of nowhere.
Well, Age of Sigmar got skeletons.
Whoa, that's way too much space.
And they got 3. I mean, technically, Chaos Dwarves was a pretty big one. They got
they
got 7 or 8 kits there.
Yeah, they did.
But like Cathay getting a full army, and then the Marauders getting fully updated. Before that, you had Bretonnia and
Tomb Kings
both getting fully updated. Like, that's a lot of attention to those games.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, we had a joke booking a model for Age of Sigmar. It's like, it's pretty much been like that for every army that's been released. You had the Skaven, whatever, initial release.
The Skaven Stormcast launch at the start of an edition.
And then you had 10 months, 8 to 10 months.
Booking a model, booking a model.
Kind of refresh came out that had been in the works for years. It's like, what attention are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, the rumor was that, like, you'll see come this next preview what I'm talking about with all this attention, all this time they're putting into Age of Sigmar. It's like, well, I freaking hope so, because it's about time.
You launch a new edition of one of your premier games, you consider it your 1B game, and the new edition launches, and outside of the launch box, you've done nothing.
Yeah.
You launched a new army that has been in the works for years, I guess, and they probably kicked back and forth whether it should be an Old World or Age of Sigmar. But Old World, which originally was just going to be under their specialist line and just get updated resin heroes from Forge World, got a brand new army, massive updates to Bretonnia and Tomb Kings, and then a massive update to the Marauders. That's not even comparable. Like, they've gotten more stuff for that game that was supposed to be secondary than Age of Sigmar in their new edition.
Plus, like, they took all this stuff from Age of Sigmar and put it into that.
Ported it back. Yeah.
All the dwarf stuff, all the beast stuff, I mean, we haven't seen the payoff on it yet, but the Savage Orcs too.
Bone Splitters, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if when Bone Splitters, gets their time, Savage Orcs, they get a new
Prophet, Wurzag, whatever.
Wurzag, something, a big named character, and some stuff like that. Or Greenskins gets an update and they get a new what's his name? The Necromancer.
Oh, Azeg the Slaughterer.
Yeah, something like that. A new
because
model
he was around. So for those who don't know, in Warhammer Fantasy, he had a model and rules, but he had died like 2 centuries before the timeline that we were playing.
Exactly. This is the timeline where he actually existed.
Yeah.
So like this would make sense. You'd have him here.
Yep.
You know, because
get a big plastic war boss on a boar. Oh, of course, that'd be sweet.
Absolutely. A new wyvern boss. Because that potbelly dragon that they had before, where the orc is half the size of the dragon, it's like there's no way that thing's flying. You know, like Puff Magic Dragon over here is not carrying that
His
guy.
little baby wings and potbelly, right?
Yeah. So
but that was the limitations they had back then. Yeah.
So absolutely, that kind of stuff could be in the works. I could totally see.
Yeah,
There's plenty of
but just
potential.
that grumbling of like, oh, it's eating up all the production. It's like, well, the production time the last year and a half has been eaten up by not Age of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but even Old World hasn't even gotten that much production. It's been so much Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
And like eating up production space because they have ported literally dozens of different kits that used to be Forge World
with no like release schedule or no
just
codex.
Dropping them in.
Like they're releasing them every few weeks, a new couple plastic kits every single time.
And that is a lot of effort, you know, because they're making these kits that can play in 2 games for a host of different armies. So when they print their plastic Fellblade or whatever, they got to make tons of them. So anyway, if it's true that now Age of Sigmar is going to eat up a big chunk of production space, great.
Yeah, it is the 10th edition, the 10th anniversary of it. So I'd like to see it actually pay off.
Oh, and did we see another Age of Sigmar figure win the Slayer Sword again?
Did we?
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
Imagine that.
But anyway, so I don't know. I hope any of those are what we see. My biased, I want to see the Maggot Kingdom Nurgle get a big update, but their update might be just the Warhammer Quest for now. I think the book will be announced for maybe a couple of armies, and I think you're right. I think Nurgle, cities, ogres, dwarves are all in line for.
Yeah, I think Nurgle's coming first. That's what I'm gonna put my money on.
Okay,
Nurgle.
Yeah,
we'll see something for Nurgle in addition to the Warhammer Quest.
I think ogres might be a harder release because they're gonna update old models and release new stuff.
Right. It'll be updating a handful of new ones, cutting the rest, and then basically replacing them with new kits.
Yeah,
that's different.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
So, working on anything on the?
Gosh, I've got.
Well, I'm about to move. So for those who don't know, I'm about to move into a new place.
Yep.
And so my studio is like half packed up right now. I'm working on stuff, and so namely, I've just put out some videos in collaborative efforts with Dracoya. But I put out new videos featuring some of the velvets for Chimera.
Which, again, those aren't available yet.
No.
They'll probably be delivered if you get them when they come online early next year.
It's like somewhere between Christmas and New Year's.
Because we're still handling distributing Kickstarter stuff.
Yeah,
now.
As far as I know, she is still distributing like the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That was delayed a really long time, had production issues and then shipping issues and.
Because I've seen some people asking about them, and it's like, I don't think they're available yet.
And where some people got upset is Chimera themselves, even though they use Dracoya as their U.S. distributor, they announced themselves the pre-order for the Velvets. Well, that made people upset who ordered the Kickstarter and didn't get their package yet. And now it's like, wait a minute, now everybody can pre-order them. But as far as I know, nothing to fear. The pre-order is still for something that's potentially early next year.
Right, months away.
The Kickstarter people are going to get all their stuff. They're basically waiting for the Kolinsky brushes because of how that
customs and paperwork.
The paperwork for that
Yeah.
goes. It's always a big headache. Otherwise, all the velvets are here. Otherwise, like they're ready to go.
I personally haven't got my hands on any of them yet to use them and try them out, but they're pretty good.
And they do a range. So like advanced painters will already figure out ways they can take advantage of them. If you're a new painter or you paint predominantly like armies, so I've got a video that I've worked on for the Gold Leaf set that I think has gone up, where I just used the Dark Oath Chieftain on Steed.
Mm-hmm.
And I just go through that range, the 6 paints in the Gold Leaf one, just doing stuff on them. The biggest thing is like the sheer speed with which you can work on stuff, because the pigment saturation is so much that you don't have to go coat. You actually go the other way. You can start as pigment rich as you want and then dilute them down to whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of nice. Yeah.
And so I was able to like NMM gold the armor plate on the shoulder of the horse with like one pass, and then do one shadow, then add a little white and highlight it. And it was like, oh, that's NMM gold in like 30 seconds. You also get a pretty good working time with them on the model. So the one difficulty you can run into with like speed paints from Army Painter or contrast paints from Citadel, I guess Express is the other one. I know AK's got one now.
One of the sets actually. I don't know the one of the ones you listed. One of the issues was beyond working time was you could reactivate the paint itself after it had dried. So not that one. We're leaving that one out.
Yeah.
But like everything equivalent to a contrast, which I think is the speed paint.
Yeah, speed paint, contrast.
And there's another one.
Express from Vallejo.
That's it.
And then now AK has one.
Okay.
I don't know what they call it though, but the one downside is like you have to do those section by section because the edge of them will dry so fast that if you then try to paint right over it, you'll peel it or it'll be a coffee stain.
Yep.
And so you have to do this section by section thing. The velvets last just enough on the surface that you can go grab something else in wet blend if you want, or go grab water and feather it out. And so I don't know. It's been pretty nice. They're called inks. I think they're technically acrylic inks, but they really, I feel like could have had a different name, like fluid or something, because they're so smooth in their application and they're that versatile because you get a working time. So I'm still learning.
Maybe
them.
A little misbranded, mislabeled.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the word velvet I think is great. The packaging super premium like all Chimera product. But this is a very new painter or army painter or beginner friendly product. It really is.
But it's not just for that. It's also a thing that a veteran painter can totally use.
Yeah.
To great effect.
Yeah, and you can use them to tint and shift something that you've already done, which I'm working on something because they have an entire range. There's one set of velvets that's called like Purple Dusk, and it's 6 variants of purple, and you think, well, what would you need that for? And then I put them on the palette, and then I started using them for stuff. It's like, oh, okay, this covers quite the gamut from a pink magenta type all the way to a rich wine, or black purple. So yeah, you can do everything from adjusting the hues of skin, creating effects, creating shadows with stuff like that. So I'm still learning them, but I'm putting the videos out for people to see.
Oh, for sure.
How friendly they are. So you'll be able to see those on our channel. They'll also be on Dracoya's channel because it's her. She's the distributor. So, and then some of the shorts will go up on Instagram. But other than that, I haven't been able to work on my desk because I'm kind of tearing it down at the moment.
Yeah, I'm working on a bunch of character models. So I've got a handful of things that I put together for Warhammer. I did a pretty. I mean, it took me probably 6 hours to find the right parts that I wanted to for a conversion that I did with the Urkin, whatever the Urkin, the event model, the exclusive commemorative model. Cast champion guy.
Mine's in the mail.
Yeah, so I've gotten 2 of them.
That's awesome.
The first one I built just like stock. I gave him a different helmet, a little fancier helmet, but the second one I actually turned into an inspiration that my inspiration for it was from actually the old world. Yeah, there was a Chaos Warrior slain turned undead, like white champion. I'm call him a king or a lord because he was not a commander of
like Krell.
Oh,
okay.
So I used Krell as a template.
That's
with this
cool.
model to turn him into sort of that kind of a white champion. So he's got his horned helmet, ghostly axe, and his like mohawk, kind of like Viking helmet. Yep. I thought this model was a really, really good template for a Krell. Because again, he was canonically he was a Chaos Warrior.
Yes, he was.
That was slain, and so he's still wearing his like Chaos armor.
Yep.
Big and posing for a white kind of character. He was much larger than them.
And in Total War, he's a
legendary hero,
not a lord. Yeah.
And so for me, this kind of a character would be, a Path to Glory character or something that isn't a white king that leads skeletons. He's his own singular combatant.
And you kind of
champion.
removed some of the chaos iconography and made him. I guess he could be used in a Death Army or a Chaos Army if you wanted. But I mean, his face is very much just a skull. Where did that axe bit come from?
I made that.
You made that?
I kit bashed that. So that was probably 4 different kits.
Was it from GW Kits?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used a staff polearm kind of thing that comes from the Bone Reapers. Do you remember the 4-armed guys with the multiple heads? Well, the alternate kit for them are the Praetorians, whatever they're called. They have like the polearm and the shield. Well, their polearm is like sort of a ghostly, like screaming face, sort of haft. So it's got like faces and stuff in it. Well, if you look at like artwork for Krell, he's got the black axe of Krell is like a ghost weapon. It's It's like an energy staff that has an axe on the end. The axes themselves, I actually was looking for kind of brutal looking, kind of flanged axes, and I found them in the Bestigor kit. So I used a couple of Bestigor axes and kind of hacked them up and slapped them together to make a double-headed axe to go onto this ghostly haft. So when I paint it up, it'll be like an obsidian sort of effect on the axe, and then it'll be like a pale white green, kind of sickly green ghost weapon. So that's the idea.
Okay.
And then to go with that, because I think the Black Axe of Krell actually is a soul stealer. I've got sort of like some ghosts hovering around, kind of like in like a halo sort of formation of him. It's wild. Yeah. But the helmet itself, I had to kit bash out of a bunch of stuff too. Like I used some. Let's see. Yeah, the Mohawk was from a Fire Slayer kit. I used the helmet from.
Dwarves are the best Mohawks.
Yeah, I used the helmet was from a white kit, which was the old. I didn't have any extra heads from the Barrow Knights, but the Barrow Knights don't actually have the right aesthetic for what I was looking for. I was looking for more Viking. The old Tomb Guard kit has the helmets I was looking for, so I used one of those. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but it's fine. I used some like hair bits. I think it was from an old second edition like Sacrosanct sprue, where they've got these like kind of plumed headdresses that had like these hairs hanging off of them. Yeah. So he's got like the long hair coming out of the helmet, kind of draping forward through, came from those bits. And then like the Mohawk kind of covers up a lot of the back, fills the kind of the neck area from it's a big and imposing Mohawk from one of the Fire Slayers. So it's I think it's a pretty convincing thing. He's supposed to have a shield in his back. There's spots in the back from the initial kit where the shield goes. Well, I didn't want him to have a shield. He's got a two-handed axe. He doesn't need a shield. So I kind of had to fill in some of that stuff and kind of cover that up. But I think it's a pretty convincing conversion. I think I had a lot of fun doing it. So
I think
I'm
that's
happy.
Actually quite Albert Moreto font.
You know what? I was thinking about him when I did it.
Because that guy, that's such a neat way to do it where it's like, well, because when you play Games Workshop games, you end up with so many plastic kits, bits, sprues, and it's like the way, where he's a master at like kind of creating a Where's Waldo idea where the reward for the people looking at the miniature close is not look at this amazing thing and how well it's painted, which that is part of it, but it's people then recognizing, wait a minute.
And when they released that guide for what he used for his Slayer Sword entry, I swear I looked at those legs and I was like, I've seen those legs before. Is that Ahriman?
It's the old Ahriman legs.
It's the Ahriman's legs.
Yeah.
And it's like, I knew it. I have that motto. I've used those legs before. And I'm like, I knew it. Yeah. When I saw him, I was like, there's no way. And it is. It was Ahriman's legs.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
And the funny thing is, he does that just because that's fun for him to like make all these bits work together.
Well, then I picked out both the arms were from the Skaven kit. I saw the
book.
The book hand, especially because I saw the fingernails. I'm like, that's a Skaven hand.
Yeah,
I recognize that's from that Kill Team or the Underworld's Warband.
Yeah,
but it turns out when I was looking at that one, the potion holding hand was also in that same Kill Team or Underworld kit.
Yeah,
where it's like he's wielding or he's holding like a plague, like a handheld plague sensor. Mm-hmm. Well, he kind of got rid of some of that and gave him a potion to be holding, where he's like mixing it.
And I guess one thing you can't tell from the photo, and then we'll get back to your piece here, is everyone said that in person the finish on it was actually very matte. It was very matte finish, so it probably looks a little less saturated than what the photo. Like GW really punched up the saturation on the photos this year, which was good. It favors the model. But everyone said in person, Albert's piece was very matte, except for one bottle of ink was gloss black ink in it, and it was the only glossy part in the entire model, but it stood out because of it.
But it was like canonically it worked because he was actually mixing chemicals.
Yeah.
That's really good. I like that.
And I've seen some of the European painters in particular, like they're now not shying away from satin and gloss stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. They're finding ways to use it. Anyway, your piece here reminds me of that because it's like, well, you grabbed from 11 different kits and like made something that aesthetically looks like it works. And it even though you can tell what the shell of the mini's from, the rest of it is different enough that it could totally be...
I think what does it is the axe is so different. I think the ghosts that I've got like hovering around him really set him apart.
It does. And the skull head, I think, does too.
Yeah. So, Yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. I pulled out
Now I wish I was getting 2.
probably like 50 sprues, and I used like 10 of them. And so like my living room where I was kit bashing it is just covered in stuff.
Well, the
all
ghost you put on there, those are usually tricky because now that Games Workshop makes all of their stuff 360 degrees of detail instead of just a 2D surface, stuff like ghosts and smoke are tough to paint typically. But again, going back to Albert, he's done that. And then we saw in the Youngbloods competition of all things, all 3 of those winners were doing that now. So now we're seeing more people less afraid of the atmospheric stuff.
Yeah.
If you can come up with a way to make them look cool. And so, I don't know, there's a chance for this to be just a super unique piece. Yeah, it'll be good to see that go, see where that goes. And are you going to use him in one of your armies?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Might just be for fun.
Might just be for fun.
I mean, he could absolutely
like Saitama.
He could absolutely stand in for being a white king or something on foot. It's fine. But like I said, when I come up with a character like that, I usually want to put him in something like the idea is like, oh well, this is a singular character that I'd come up with special rules for, a path to glory or something. He's a character that gets stronger and is the leader for a non matched play version of a character. That kind of thing.
So do you think Festus is coming to Age of Sigmar, or it's going to be for Old World? Because I haven't read about him much in Age of Sigmar, other than the Rotmeier Creed.
The
Rotmeier
Creed, like worship the Leech Lord.
That's what they call it.
Him that. They called him that by name, like the master, the Lord of Leeches, or something like that. It was something where
they're in swamps with like stilts and
right. It was like questionable. It's like, what are they talking about? Is that Festus? Like, who is this guy they're referencing? And so like that would make sense.
Okay. But I also like in Age of Sigmar when they do that, when they go down to the I guess you could say human or tribal level, these people will say they're serving or worshiping something, and it's not even close to what it actually is, but it's just the idea they have, which also creates a degree of separation. It makes it so you don't, let's say, name drop Bellicor everywhere, because he doesn't just show up and visit everybody.
Yeah, you might say the Lord of Shadows.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, who's that? Well, it's Bellicor. But they don't know they don't know his name.
Right.
They don't know the name of the demon that they're doing the
they've
the
just heard
of.
about it. Yeah. And aesthetically, you were talking about the differences between the Norskin and Dark Oath things, and so I was reading the same forums about the guy who was mopey about his Old World not getting enough / they are getting too much. And they were saying, well, I feel like now with this Norskin release, now there's no difference between Age of Sigmar and Old World. And it was like
aesthetically, look at these. These are so different.
They are. And it's like, yes, they're human. They're GW human, 28 millimeters size. So if you wanted to play either for either, I mean, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But not only is the lore vastly different between the two of them, the Norskin Marauders are specifically very Earth, not Earth. Like you're talking Danelaw, Viking invasion.
Right.
They're wearing the furs and the horns and they're pale skinned and like red hair. Like they're very much that. And like Dark Oath are more like native tribal.
Yeah.
And they're not even serving the gods specifically. They're just like rejecting society or feel like they were rejected. And so they make pacts to weird beasts in the forest and stuff, like Wendigos and it's like, but they're like,
which feels like that mythology of them, like their aesthetic plus the mythology of like the Wendigo. It feels very like Native American
tribal
kind of thing.
Yeah,
like that. It's a very
they're
different.
They have a lot more bear skin.
Granted, like what is his name? Eric the red whatever.
Right,
Viking went to America in history.
Eventually,
whatever. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The Viking aesthetic that we're familiar with is different from like a Native American. Aesthetic that we're familiar with, and the two of them embody them.
They do, and while both
vaguely.
maybe wore local animal furs, it was like the big separation is like they have a little more armor and very heavy fur in the Norskin stuff and those classic Viking Raider helmets, and the Dark Oath are like bare skinned,
fur boots,
wild hair.
Kind of
they have tooth trophies and like
yeah.
It feels very more tribal ritual around a fire, voodoo even, like that kind of stuff mixed in. Dark Oath feels like I'm aspiring to be a chaos.
I mean, almost
warrior.
a little Aztec-y.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of like tooth earrings.
Yep.
You're like tooth, nose ring, kind of a little bit like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a very different aesthetic. But like if you brought, Marauders from Old World and you're like, these are my Dark Oath, and be like, yep, they
no
sure
one
are.
would care.
It's like, yep, they sure are. You're absolutely right.
Heck, depending on the price, I'd be tempted to get them and throw them on round bases.
A 20 man box is $75. It's like, yeah, it's
Throw them on rounds and put them in your.
It's a 10-man unit for $37.50. It's like, that's pretty good.
Yep. Throw them on rounds. Put them in your Dark Oath.
Mix them in with my Dark Oath. Have this mixed unit of just like.
Or it'll be my Ravagers.
Right.
They'll be my slightly different unit.
Exactly. It'd be fine. Same goes with the Horsemen. The Marauder Horsemen on there. They could absolutely be Fel Riders. Why not? Give the units from the Dark Oath with the javelins. As I have that available. Make them my Dark Oath. Riders with javelins. Make the guys from the
Norskins.
The Norskin ones. Make them a melee.
My sword and board ones. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have enough of a difference in the aesthetic, in the loadout and in the aesthetic of them that it differentiates them on the tabletop. I think that's fine.
Well, I think that the crossover possibility, as well as seeing your conversion piece here, seeing the recent results of Golden Demon, it makes me, when I get into my new studio setup, I want to look at my plastic kits, and start piecing what can I do, because I never really do much in the way of conversion, and I have, for example, the entire Scaventide starter set that we got for swag.
Speaking of that, I also turned the Lord Terminus from one of my
4 Scaventide
boxes. I think I've got 4 of them. Because I got one. I got another one that I wanted. I think I got 2 more for Adepticon. Anyway, I have a lot of extra stuff.
Yeah.
So I actually turned one of my Lord Terminus models, which is the Executioner that we saw in the Sigmar's Toll episode.
Yeah.
I turned him into a Chaos Lord.
Yeah.
So that's, I've seen a few people do that, and it's a pretty simple conversion. You swap the weapon, you swap the head.
Yeah, and
it's so nondescript, kind of heavily armored warrior that it's like,
he's got chains and robes and armor.
Absolutely looks like you tell me that was a Chaos champion. It's like, yep. You have a skull shoulder pad.
Well, it beats the current Lord on foot we have.
Oh man, and I've got one of them too, and he's awful. And the model is so bad. So it's like I've come up with lots of ways to replace him with other models. So but no, that's my working. That's what I'm working on. Is I've got like 20 or so different character models that they're in various stages of completion that I want to
Frankenstein.
I want to kind of get them painted and get them done. So lots of character units, lots of one-off characters that I've been meaning to paint for a long time. Some of my conversions, I kind of want to get them done. So that's my painting table.
That might be what I do there. Yeah. I think that also inspires me as far as creating a paint scheme that we haven't seen yet, because you make up your own model.
Yep. I kind of want to go with the purpley kind of wine-colored armor for Krell, plus the white and kind of tealy green blue ghost energy, kind of lean into that. Yeah. So he will not match my army, but that doesn't matter. I'm fine with it.
He's a character.
Yep.
Well, I don't know too many meals that are purple and teal that go well that sound appetizing. Like, because what does that get you? Eggplant and mint jelly. That might be a. Do you want to try that? We could try it.
Let's try it. Right. Yeah.
Thanks for joining. We hope you enjoyed. Follow us for more of our weekly episodes on YouTube Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. You can follow myself and Llama on Instagram. We are at Llama Paints Minis and Hyena Paints Minis. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. And as always, we'll catch you next time.